If you're over 60 and your emergency supplies are taking over your home, this could be the difference between life-saving preparation and deadly hoarding. Last month, a 67-year-old prepper in Ohio couldn't reach his fire extinguisher during a kitchen fire because his emergency food storage blocked the path. What started as smart preparation had become a death trap. Today, I'm going to show you the 5 warning signs that your prepping has crossed into dangerous hoarding territory. And the shocking reality is, most seniors never see it coming until it's too late. Welcome back to the Senior Reset, where we help you navigate life after 60 with wisdom and clarity. I'm your host, and today we're tackling a topic that's affecting thousands of senior preppers across the country: the invisible line between smart preparation and dangerous hoarding. Here's what you'll discover in the next 12 minutes. First, I'll reveal the 5 subtle warning signs that your prepping supplies have become hazardous clutter. Second, you'll learn the 72-hour test that emergency responders use to evaluate home safety. Third, I'll share the one-box rule that keeps your emergency supplies organized and accessible. And finally, I'll give you the doctor-approved decluttering method that protects both your safety and your preparedness goals. But here's the most important part. I'll show you how to maintain your prepper mindset while creating a safer living environment. Because the goal isn't to stop preparing, it's to prepare smarter. If this resonates with you, hit that like button now and let me know in the comments. Are you a prepper who's concerned about clutter? Your engagement helps other seniors find this crucial information. 1. The just-in-case multiplication trap. The first warning sign is what I call the just-in-case multiplication trap, and it's the most common way senior preppers slip into hoarding without realizing it. Here's how it works. You start with 1 case of canned goods for emergencies. Then you think, what if the emergency lasts longer? So you buy 2 more cases. Then you worry about variety, so you add different types of canned foods. Before you know it, you have 47 cases of various canned goods stacked in your hallway, blocking access to your bedroom. This happened to my neighbor, 64-year-old Gloria, who started prepping after Hurricane Sandy. She began with a reasonable 2-week food supply, but every time she went shopping, she'd think just in case and add more. Within 6 months, her living room was a maze of food storage containers. The breaking point came when her granddaughter visited and couldn't navigate to the bathroom safely in the dark. The psychological trigger here is anxiety multiplication. Each what-if scenario creates another purchase justification. What if there's a longer emergency? What if my neighbors need help? What if stores don't restock? These are valid concerns, but when they drive unlimited accumulation, preparation becomes paralysis. Emergency management experts recommend a specific formula. For each category of supplies, food, water, medicine, tools, calculate your actual 30-day need, then multiply by 1.5. That's your maximum. Anything beyond that crosses from preparation into accumulation. The danger isn't just clutter, it's access. In a real emergency, you need to reach your supplies quickly. If your emergency food is buried under months of just-in-case purchases, it's not emergency food anymore. It's an obstacle. Red flag behaviors include buying supplies you already have but can't locate, storing items in hard-to-reach places temporarily, and feeling anxiety when you haven't bought emergency supplies in a few weeks. Have you fallen into the just-in-case trap? Tell us in the comments how you've managed your emergency supply quantities. Your experience could help another senior prepper find balance. 2. The expiration date blindness. The second subtle sign is expiration date blindness, when your emergency supplies become health hazards instead of lifesavers. This is particularly dangerous for seniors because our immune systems naturally weaken with age, making expired foods and medications more risky. Yet many senior preppers develop a psychological block around checking expiration dates because it feels like wasting preparedness efforts. I learned about this from retired firefighter Captain James Sullivan, who responded to a medical emergency involving a 71-year-old prepper named Dolores. She had taken expired antibiotics from her emergency medical kit during a respiratory infection, thinking she was being resourceful. Instead, She ended up in the hospital with complications from the degraded medication. When Captain Sullivan examined her home, he found emergency supplies dating back 8 years. Canned goods from 2016, first aid supplies from 2015, and medications that had expired during the Obama administration. What started as smart preparation had become a collection of potentially dangerous items. The psychology behind expiration date blindness is fascinating. Seniors often attach emotional value to their preparedness supplies. Throwing out expired items feels like abandoning security, even when those items could cause harm. It's similar to how some people keep broken umbrellas. The comfort comes from having them, not from their actual functionality. Here's the protocol emergency preparedness experts recommend. Create a quarterly rotation inspection. Every 3 months, check expiration dates on medications, every 6 months for food items, and annually for equipment. Use the first in, first out method. Consume older items first and replace them with fresh supplies. But here's what most preppers miss. Expired doesn't always mean dangerous, but it does mean unreliable. The 2019 flashlight might work, or it might fail when you need it most. Those 2020 batteries might power your radio, or they might leak and damage it. Emergency preparedness is about reliability, not just quantity. The real warning sign is emotional resistance to checking dates. If you feel anxious or defensive about examining your supplies' expiration dates, that's your mind protecting you from facing the reality that your security might be an illusion. What's your system for managing expiration dates? Share your rotation strategies in the comments. Other viewers need practical solutions they can implement today. 3. The emergency room takeover. The third warning sign is when your designated emergency storage area expands beyond its boundaries and starts consuming your living space, what I call the emergency room takeover. This starts innocently. You designate a closet for emergency supplies. Then the closet fills up, so you start storing overflow in the garage. The garage fills up, so you move some items to the spare bedroom. Before you realize it, your emergency supplies have colonized your entire home and you're living in the leftover spaces. This happened to 68-year-old prepper Wayne, whose story was shared by his concerned daughter in our community forum. Wayne started with a basement storage system after watching news coverage of supply chain disruptions. Gradually, his emergency supplies migrated upstairs, first to the laundry room, then the kitchen pantry, then the dining room, and finally the living room. His daughter visited for Thanksgiving and found emergency water barrels where the dining table used to be. The psychological mechanism here is scope creep, when a project gradually expands beyond its original parameters without conscious decision-making. For senior preppers, this often happens because we're fighting against feelings of vulnerability. Each new storage area feels like additional security, but we lose sight of how it's impacting our daily quality of life. Professional organizers who work with seniors identify specific red flags. When you can't use rooms for their intended purpose, when you're moving emergency supplies to access everyday items, and when visitors comment on the amount of storage containers in your living spaces. The safety issue is serious. Emergency supplies should enhance your safety, not create new hazards. When supplies block exits, create trip hazards, or prevent access to safety equipment like smoke detectors or circuit breakers, your preparation has become a liability. Here's the solution framework used by geriatric safety specialists. Apply the one-room rule. Choose one primary storage area for emergency supplies and commit to keeping everything within that space. If it doesn't fit, you have too much, not too little space. This forces you to prioritize essential items and maintain manageable quantities. The emotional challenge is recognizing that spreading supplies throughout your home doesn't multiply your security, it divides your accessibility. In a real emergency, you want your supplies consolidated and reachable, not scattered across multiple rooms. Consider your current storage situation. Can you access all your emergency supplies from one primary location? Tell us in the comments how you've organized your emergency storage areas. The fourth subtle sign is using your emergency supplies as a social isolation shield when your prepping becomes an excuse to avoid having people in your home. This is particularly insidious because it masquerades as intentional privacy. You tell yourself you're protecting your supplies from judgment or keeping your preparedness strategies confidential. But underneath, you're often hiding the fact that your home has become unnavigable or embarrassing. I first recognized this pattern when talking with Janet, a 72-year-old widow who had been active in her church community for decades. After she started serious prepping 3 years ago, she gradually stopped hosting her weekly Bible study group, stopped inviting her sister over for coffee, and began declining social gatherings. When I asked why, she said she didn't want people to see her supplies and think she was crazy. But when Janet's pastor visited unexpectedly during a wellness check, the reality became clear. Her living room was stacked with supply boxes, her kitchen table was covered with emergency equipment, and her hallways were lined with water containers. Janet wasn't protecting her supplies from judgment, she was protecting herself from facing how her preparation had overtaken her life. The psychology here involves shame spiraling. You accumulate supplies beyond reasonable limits, then feel embarrassed about the accumulation, which leads to social withdrawal, which increases anxiety and loneliness, which drives more accumulation as a comfort mechanism. It's a cycle that many senior preppers experience, but rarely discuss. Social isolation is particularly dangerous for seniors because it accelerates cognitive decline and increases fall risks. When you're not having regular visitors, there's no external perspective on how your living situation is changing. You adapt gradually to increasingly cluttered conditions that would alarm an outsider. Emergency preparedness experts emphasize that good prepping enhances your social connections, not destroys them. Your supplies should enable you to help neighbors during emergencies, host family members if needed, and maintain community relationships that are crucial for actual survival scenarios. The test is simple. Could you comfortably have your closest friend visit your home tomorrow without moving or hiding anything? If the answer is no, your supplies have crossed from preparedness into social barrier territory. Recovery involves what therapists call graduated exposure. Start by having one trusted person visit for a short time. Don't apologize for your supplies or explain your entire prepping philosophy. Just focus on having normal social interaction in your space. This helps you see your environment through fresh eyes. Have you noticed your prepping affecting your social life? Share in the comments how you balance emergency preparedness with maintaining relationships. Your insight could help someone break out of isolation. The fifth and most dangerous warning sign is decision paralysis. When you have so many emergency supplies that you can't make quick decisions about what to use, where things are, or what you actually need. This is the point where your preparation becomes your emergency. Instead of having organized, accessible supplies that enhance your response capabilities, you have so much stuff that finding anything becomes a crisis in itself. This reality hit home for 69-year-old retired teacher Carmen when her area experienced unexpected flooding. She had spent 2 years building an impressive emergency supply collection, multiple flashlights, various communication devices, different types of emergency food, backup tools, and redundant safety equipment. But when the actual emergency happened, she spent precious time digging through boxes, trying to remember where she'd stored specific items, and becoming overwhelmed by choosing between multiple options for the same need. While her less prepared neighbor grabbed one flashlight, one radio, and one emergency kit, and evacuated efficiently, Carmen found herself paralyzed by her own abundance. She later told me, "I had everything I needed and more, but I couldn't think clearly enough to use any of it effectively." This phenomenon is called choice overload, and research shows it affects seniors more intensely due to natural changes in processing speed and decision-making capacity. When you're stressed, which you will be during any real emergency, having too many options becomes cognitively overwhelming rather than reassuring. The warning signs include taking more than 30 seconds to locate basic emergency items, having multiple versions of the same tool without knowing which works best, and feeling overwhelmed when trying to organize or inventory your supplies. Professional emergency planners use the rule of 3. 3 days of food, 3 ways to communicate, 3 light sources, 3 shelter options, not 30 of each, 3. The goal is reliable redundancy, not infinite options. The solution involves what disaster psychologists call decision preloading. Make your choices during calm moments, not during crises. Create a simple emergency action checklist that tells you exactly which items to grab, where they're located, and in what order to use them. Practice this sequence quarterly so muscle memory takes over when stress hits. The emotional challenge is recognizing that having fewer, well-organized options actually increases your security and peace of mind. It's counterintuitive for preppers who've been trained to think more is better, but emergency responders will tell you that speed and clarity save lives, not quantity and variety. Can you quickly locate your 3 most essential emergency items right now? Time yourself and share your results in the comments. This exercise often reveals how much decision paralysis has crept into your preparedness setup. Here's the transformation that happens when senior preppers recognize and address these 5 warning signs. You move from anxious accumulation to confident preparation. Take Gloria, who we met in Chapter 1. After recognizing her just-in-case multiplication trap, she implemented the 30-day formula and donated her excess supplies to local food banks. Her home became navigable again, but more importantly, she could actually find and use her emergency supplies. During a recent power outage, she accessed her backup lighting and communication devices within minutes instead of searching through boxes. Wayne from Chapter 3 applied the one-room rule and consolidated his supplies back to his basement storage area. He discovered that he actually had everything he needed for any reasonable emergency. He just couldn't access it efficiently. His family relationships improved dramatically when he could host holiday dinners again. The beautiful truth about smart prepping is that less can genuinely be more. When you have carefully chosen, well-organized, easily accessible supplies, you're not just better prepared for emergencies, you're living better every day. Your home becomes a place of peace rather than anxiety, connection rather than isolation, and confidence rather than overwhelm. Real preparedness isn't about having the most supplies, it's about having the right supplies in the right places, ready for the right moments. If this video helped you recognize any of these warning signs in your own prepping journey, you're not alone, and you're not broken, you're just human. Hit that like button to help other senior preppers find this information, and subscribe with notifications on for more practical guidance on living your best life after 60. Share this video with any prepper friends who might benefit from this perspective. Sometimes we need an outside voice to help us see our own patterns clearly.